Hey guys, welcome back to another video. In this video, I'm going to be telling you why I like Red Dead Redemption 2 so much, and I'm going to be telling you a little bit about why I like the first one so much. I've beat the first one 4 times. I've beat this one 2 times already. I love both games. Both games are the best ones out there in my opinion. I can't decide which one is better to be honest, but both of them are amazing to me, and I could probably play them pretty much all the time and still, enjoy it and find new things and cool stuff like that. Anyway, one thing I love about both games is a huge map. You gotta think about the first one. It's not really a big map, but for the time, yeah, fucking map was huge. All right, but in RDR2, you can agree that right now that's a pretty big map to have in an open world game. The states that the game has have a different culture in them. Obviously, like if you go to the desert, the people, they're a little rough around the edges. They're not really as I guess civilized either. They have it hard. They're out in the middle of the desert. Don't even know if they'll have water for the day. And Lemoyne, which is Louisiana, obviously that's a southern state. The game shows some of the things that were going on in the South at the time. You have blacks not really being treated right. You have the KKK in there, and then in New Hanover you have the KKK. But really, the South is where you see all the racism, and even Lenny mentions it in the game. He says that he doesn't really like riding around too much because he's kind of afraid of it. And Louisiana has swamps and stuff in it, not all over the state, but they have some swamps there. So swamps are in the game. Then even me, I saw some stuff that I kind of recognized, like some of the hills and stuff look like they do down south. This game's obviously 100% personal preference. If you don't like a Western setting, you probably won't like this game. But I personally love the Western setting. It's not as realistic as what the real West was, but at all, it's not, because the real West wasn't always shooting stuff up and all that. But that's not the point of the game. The point of the game is to kind of make you feel like a gunslinger and all that, and I love it. But you also do see some history, like I said, and a little bit ago. If you go down south into Lemoyne, you'll see racism and all that pretty bad. You even get to see KKK meetings, which are always fun to blow up or just watch. And you'll kind of hear dialogue and stuff, and you get to see how it was, like how the South was at this time, especially being like a lot of the black dudes. And like if you go down to Saint Denis, you'll see a lot more black people in the slums than you will in white people there. It's kind of realistic, especially for the time, because that's where they were pushed off to. And then you have the Indians in the game, where it doesn't really go into it too much, but it does go into it way more than it did in the first one. You have the army and the government crushing the Indians, basically violating treaties and saying no, they violated them, and then starting wars over it and taking land just because, well, it's land, or for some other reason, right? And oil, I don't know personally how big or how often land was taken just because of oil. I really don't, but I know that land just to be taken for people to settle it and farm, that happened a lot out west. Uh, and the game goes into that a little bit, and you end up helping a major, to help the Indians that tries to get help, but it fails, and then Dutch did that and all that stuff. I'm not really going to go into too much because that will spoil part of the game, and I don't feel like doing that. The realism in this game is kind of cool. Sometimes it gets annoying. I didn't really like it at first at all. I really didn't. Like, the shooting feels clunky. If you go like from GTA to this, it feels clunky to play this. The fact that I can't shoot straight is, it's realistic, because if you have a bunch of guns, gunfire going off around you, you're probably not going to be able to shoot the straightest if you have bullets passing over your head all the time. But at the same time, it's not fun from a gameplay standpoint all the time. But, you get used to it. You know that if you miss your shot, it feels like more of a punishment than what it did in the first game. You missed a lot of shots in both games, really. But once you got used to it, it was easy. And at first I really didn't like it, but I realized that you just have to take your time to shoot instead of just being like GTA and just spamming, fire, 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 fire. And if you another reason why I love this game is I love the first game, and it explains a lot of stuff. The first game doesn't explain how John and Abigail, worked out and how they ended up, getting together and all that. I don't think in the first game we knew that Jack was in the gang until John left. Meaning, like, we didn't really know that Jack was a part of the gang and rode with them for a while, especially whenever the gang fell apart. We didn't know that. We didn't know Jack was kidnapped, I don't think, or nothing. We didn't know why John was left behind in Blackwater and Dutch went crazy. We kind of just basically thought, Dutch went crazy because it just got to him. But now we know that it wasn't that. Kind of was, kind of wasn't. It depends on how you take it. I'm not really going to go into that too much. But it explains a lot of stuff in the story that was not explained in RDR1, and I love that. Only problem with the prequel, though, is that some details don't match up or don't make, like why Arthur and, Lenny, Hosea, Micah, people that were pretty important like that, Charles, Sadie, weren't really mentioned, why they were mentioned in the first one. But that's just the problem with prequels. So, really, for the most part, it explains everything. The biggest thing in this game, I'd say, is the details. While, it gets annoying to have to clean your guns, well, you have to clean your guns if you want to be, have the best stats for them. You don't have to clean your guns, but it's recommended. While it gets annoying, it, is a pretty big detail once you realize that you clean your guns somewhat often. Maybe not as much as you would in real life, but, your hair grows in the game, which I think is kind of awesome, kind of not. If you want to grow your hair, it's kind of cool to see your, character over the course of the story, but it also gets annoying because, well, I don't want to have a beard. I gotta cut this all the time. That would get annoying. I could see that. But, your hair grows by itself, which is pretty cool. And your hair does stop growing once it hits a certain point. Your hair on your head can't really get that long, but your facial hair can get pretty big. But your hair on the head doesn't really get too long, but your facial hair stops at level 7. The mud, like dirt and stuff getting on clothes and all over your character and on guns and stuff, I find is pretty cool. And then, you get to see the little imprint in the mud. I think that's pretty cool because not many, game developers will go out of their way to do this. You have to eat, take baths, hats having bullet holes in them. You can have basic conversations with NPC, not really too, detailed. You can brush and feed your horse, and your horse, has poops. Anyway, also the, ecosystem, right? Animals eating animals is pretty big, right? Not big. You really don't ever notice it too much. The game kind of forces it on you once or twice just to see it. But, you get to see, wolves hunting animals and stuff. I think that's pretty cool. I haven't seen that really happen too much. But, you could see it, and that is kind of cool that Rockstar has in there, even though they know it's not really going to be able to, impact the game too much. The horse bonding is pretty cool. In real life, obviously, an animal is not just going to trust you out of, just because, oh, hey, you want to ride me? Okay, go ahead. No, it's not going to. And in RDR, your horse doesn't trust you instantly to, that you'll protect it. Even if you do max out your horse bonding, your horse can still, buck you off if it, feels like it gets cornered by a predator or something. But it doesn't really happen too often, and I like that. But, horse bonding, I think they did pretty well on it. I'm kind of happy with that system. I wish that the horse customization was a little different. I wish you could have a bit or a just I forgot what it's called, but just something. It goes around the nose. I forgot what that thing was called, but yeah, because bits are a little bit more harsh on the horse, and then I forgot what the thing's called, but just bridle or whatever. I forgot what it was called. I'm sorry, but it just goes around the horse's nose. It's it's a lot easier on the horse. I wish that there was certain things that were impacting the stuff. In both RDR games, you can hunt, which is not really huge, but it's something to do. It gives you something to do whenever you beat the game. You can go hunt, even though it's not very sophisticated. You can go hunt, and you have something to do whenever you get really, 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 really bored. I think the honor system is pretty cool in both games. I feel like the first game you had to play honorably. Sorry about that, but you had to play honorably. Like if you don't play honorably, you ain't playing the game right. Just because John Marston's changing, he's not a gunslinger just killing everybody no more for no reason. He's changing, you know. So that's how I played. That's just how I played the first game every time. Just because it felt a lot, you know, it felt better, you know. But the first game had something that the second one didn't, which was the fame system. No matter how, your honor could be as low as it could be, and then you could have max fame. That's how that game worked out. Which fame, all that was like people would recognize you for doing certain things, and then, you know, you would, what you call it? You would end up getting certain benefits, like you could bribe cops for less. You could, you know, pay less for your bounties or something, or like you could, I think, eventually steal a horse and not get in trouble. It was something like that, or maybe that was for honor. They gave you rewards for having certain stuff. And in RDR2, the Arthur feels a little different. You know, he could strike you as being like a dude trying to change, or he could strike you as being a horrible guy. Because at first, game let you interpret it. You know, he's doing stuff for the gang, but at the same time, he's still robbing people and stuff and killing people. So it's your interpretation to do it. And from, like, I read something that kind of makes sense. It's the thing said, I don't know where I saw that, but the thing said you should play the game dishonorably and then go on to play it honorably after chapter 6. And that to me makes sense, because after that, you know, the way stuff happens is pretty kind of cool, and it feels a little bit more personal. But obviously, it's your personal preference. You know, nobody can tell you how to play. That's just some ideas. I played it dishonorably and then honorably. When I beat it the second time, it was honorable. The first time was dishonorable. Fast travel in both of the games is cool. Oh, wait. You can get bonuses too. Alright, if you have low honor, I mean, you don't get, like, you know, you don't have to pay 50% more on stuff. But if you have high honor, the max honor, you can pay 50% less on a lot of stuff, which is pretty helpful. But fast travel in both games is pretty cool. You know, I don't want to go across the map. I've already seen this map 300 times. I don't want to go across the map 301st time just to get to this mission. It's going to take me 5 seconds and I'm done with it. You know? And I wish that RDR1 system returned, where you can just set up a camp out in the middle of nowhere and fast travel right to a mission. That's how that works. That was nice. But in this one, you had to either take a train station or a coach to town, or you had to go back to camp and then go to, like, say your mission was, I don't know, at the Indian reservation or something, and then you have to go to Valentine and then go to the Indian reservation from there. So that stuff kind of gets annoying to me. Like, but, you know, it is how it is. It's pacing, really, I think it is, but I like it for the most part. At least it's in the game. That's kind of something that didn't really make me too happy. That's one of the negative things I'd have to say. And then also walking through camp so slow. Why can't I jog through camp at least? Anyway, side missions or random events were handled a lot better in RDR2. In the first one, every 4 minutes someone was getting robbed. Their stagecoach was taken over by a gang, and you're about to get set up, or someone's wagon just got stolen, or someone's horse just got stolen, someone's horse is loose, or someone's getting shot at, someone needs help, something was going on, someone's getting kidnapped. Something like that always happened. Like, I mean, I could remember going to missions and then having to stop 100 times because this woman kept having her wagon get stolen. You know, that's not fun to me, because it's the same thing every 5 seconds. It happened too much. You know, it's cool to have random events and stuff. Everybody loves them, but they happen too often. They're no fun for anybody. You know, it's just not. Random events in RDR2 are a lot better. You know, they're carried out differently, way better. They have, they don't happen as much. The one that happens a lot is the blind man asking for money. That's okay with me because you don't have to stop. There's no negative to not stopping or anything. So I love it. And then also you can end up robbing stuff from, like, if you go give this dude money, you can rob a business in the store. If you don't, like, discover the business in the side business in the store, you can just rob that side business once you give this dude money because he tells you, hey, there's something going on over here. And I didn't really play side missions in RDR1, to be honest with you, but that, to me, like, from the ones I did play a little bit, it seems like it's the same in all Rockstar games. These side missions are small missions that have like small stories with them. They ask you to do something, you do them, and you get to kind of play through that side mission story. They're not really huge usually, but sometimes they are. Sometimes they're not, but sometimes they are. The graphics in this game are awesome on 1080p. I love this game, and I haven't played it on the PS4 Pro and all that, or Xbox One X, but it looked awesome in 1080, and I couldn't imagine seeing it in 4K. I loved it. And it honestly, some things still shock me today. The story is awesome. You start off after the Blackwater raid, the gang gets pushed up. They leave their money behind. The Blackwater massacre goes down, and the gang goes up into the mountains, comes back down into New Hanover, and I'm not giving any spoilers away, but the gang loses and gains members, and then eventually falls apart. RDR2 is only made to explain some things in the first game because it really wasn't very super clear once you sat down and thought about it. The first time I played the story, I rushed through it. I don't recommend you do that. I recommend you play all the side missions that the characters give you that are in white. Those are side missions that the characters in the camp give you. Those are pretty important if you want to know a little bit more about the story. If you don't, do you? But I recommend taking your time a little bit. Don't rush through it like I did the first time. But it's still a good story either way you do it. I just recommend going through a little slower. Connections with characters are big. Many Rockstar games, you don't have a problem connecting with characters, to be honest. In GTA 5, though, you do. In other games, you can kind of relate in some way to this person. They're, either you grew up poor and this person's, poor. You have to get your way to the top or something like that, or where in RDR2, say, if you've played any bit of it, Micah's annoying. You want to shoot Micah, right? And you probably have somebody in real life, or somebody at work, or somebody at school, or something is annoying you like that. You just want to shoot them every day. And there's other characters you can relate to. That you got your Jokers, all that in RDR2 and RDR1. So that's really what I love about this game. Then Arthur, you can kind of feel because most people have torn morals a little bit. That nobody's 100% right with anything. Some people say this is right and then this is wrong, but then other people say, no, what you say is wrong is right, and what you say is right is wrong. It's just how life is. It's just opinion. But anyway, that's why I love this game so much. I love RDR2. It's an awesome game. Best games released recently. The graphics are awesome. They look better than most other games. The whole game is awesome. I love it. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you agree with me, let me know. See you in the next video.